My name is Nicole Umberger. I am a 40-year-old female, and I have 2 children that are currently in the state of Tennessee. Almost 15 years ago, my son Joshua Sieber was taken from me when a call was made to the police stating that I had left my child alone. My child was asleep in his crib, and I was outside of our apartment, 50 feet from our front door, outside looking at the apartment on a cordless phone, trying to call the father of the child to get him to pick up some things on the way home, and I think I was also trying to place an order for a pizza. The people who called on me were dealing drugs, doing drugs, and their child got taken when it was born for having drugs in its system. The police never came into my apartment. They waited until after they had taken me to jail to go back to my apartment and violate my property. Our caseworker was a first-time caseworker that goes by the name, she went by the name of Katie Dossett. Now she is Katie Dossett Butler. And this video is directed towards her as well. Katie Butler was our caseworker, and we were her first case. Katie Butler pretended to be on our side the first year, and then after that, everything changed. We went to go visit Joshua one day, and Katie was late getting to the appointment, and when she showed up, she had a very negative vibe about her that we could definitely feel. We asked her what was wrong. She said nothing. And we sat there for about 30 to 45 minutes waiting on absolutely nothing because Katie already knew that nobody was coming. The foster parent at that time called Katie and said, "I'm not bringing Joshua in. He's sick." My question was, well, she knew he was sick when he woke up this morning, so what's really going on? And of course it was brushed off. Oh, nothing's going on. There's nothing we can do if he's sick. Of course. So this went on and on for 4 months. Mind you, we were driving 8 hours both ways just to see Joshua. We went to court. Katie coerced my ex-husband and I to lie under oath. She came up to me and said, "You can't mention anything about the baby or the visits. That's illegal." So my attorney, Brian J. Hunt of Hunt & Hunt Law Firm, was a public defender. I thought he was going to be a good attorney and help me get my son. All he cared about was getting the judge's seat. So he conspired with Katie against me. I told the attorney that the caseworker is telling me we can't speak up about the baby. Not once did he say, "That's not legal." This man sits in the juvenile court judge's seat of Anderson County today in the state of Tennessee, Clinton, Tennessee. Katie still works for the Department of Child Services, and my son ended up going home with the foster father who was divorced from the foster mom because she got pregnant by another man. That's why they kept him from me for 4 months, so they could hide that pregnancy. And he took my kid, moved in with his parents. His parents said, "Oh, we're going to adopt him." And then one of his parents passed away. So he and his father, my son's grandfather, I suppose, they became raging alcoholics. My son was being watched by alcoholics that were passing out drunk. At 12 years old, the grandfather passed out in the kitchen floor, and Joshua took the keys to the car and decided to take off. And he got into an accident going 90 miles down the freeway. He ran into a cop. He could have killed himself. But did that? Didn't raise any suspicion? No, he was labeled a troubled child at that point. It's funny. They love to label these kids as troubled or incorrigible, but they never look for the root cause. Well, you removed them from a perfectly good home. That's why. My son showed pictures of notes that were written by Kathy Little, his stepmother, saying, do not effing, with the F word, do not effing touch unless your name is Brian, Ted, or Kathy. Meaning if your name was Joshua, you didn't get a home-cooked meal. And you want to know why? Because he got in trouble. So they withhold food from a child who gets in trouble. No, you don't get a home-cooked meal. Make your own dinner. Those pictures of those Post-its didn't matter to DCS. The video of Brian strangling him also didn't matter to DCS. 8 reports went in on April 7th of 2022 when Joshua was being attacked by Brian because Brian found marijuana in Joshua's room. Instead of sitting down and having a talk with him, he runs after him, proceeds to get him in a chokehold position, and Joshua, in only his socks and hoodie and pants, takes off. And it was 30 degrees that night in Tennessee when he took off. April 7th of 2022. You can go look at the weather records. It was one of the coldest nights in that state. Children do not run away from homes because they are happy. They put my child in a group home. They've done that before and it didn't work because my child wasn't the problem. And they tried to get him fostered out by the old foster mom who has stepped in to assist me and help me get the truth out there. He was not able to be fostered out by her because my son needs help. My son needs therapy. My son needs counseling, and the state does not offer the kind of help that he needs. So he ended up going back into the group home. And so I requested that he be put in a facility so he can get help because he needs help. We wrote a 12-page document with pictures, and I sent it to the governor, the senator, juvenile court judge, DCS, and the DCS Commissioner of Tennessee. That initiated an ICPC process between me and the state of Tennessee. So I live in the state of Utah, and they're walking me through this kinship foster process, which I've completed. I've been asking to have communication with my son since October. He's been asking to have communication with me since November. Our requests get ignored by his team, by the DCS team and their team leader. I filled out the paperwork given to me by DCFS of Salt Lake County, only to find out 6 weeks later that I was given the wrong paperwork. So that prolonged our process. I know that is a tactic that is used. So I was very upset about that. I was really upset about the way it was handled because the person who sent me the wrong paperwork didn't even try to say they were sorry. They didn't try to take accountability. They actually ignored my emails for several weeks. I made reports to the ICPC division. I let them know I was not happy with the way things are going. I reached out to the ICPC division in Tennessee as well and found out that I was told a fib. I was told by DCFS, the person who was walking me through this process, that my background check was expedited. Well, I just found out that you can't expedite a background check in an ICPC process. So that was a lie. And I have record of that. It was sent by email. So I decided I'm going to go another route. And when I reached out and let everybody know I haven't been called by my son's DCS worker or her team Finally, the supervisor calls and says she's the caseworker. And this was February 17th of this year, 2023. And she says, oh, well, we're trying to find out who this person is requesting communication with him. We don't know who these people are. How hard is it to call somebody back? How hard is it to listen to a message, write down the number they give, and call it back and say, hi, who is this? And who are you to Joshua? How are you related to the child? How hard is that? It's not that hard. It takes minutes. 2 minutes. And she said, so we're not sitting here idly. I said, I know you're not sitting there idly, but you're ignoring me, and I don't appreciate it. I don't like being ignored. I am that mom. And of course, this caseworker tries to be relatable by saying, I have a son the same age. Like that's supposed to make me feel better. And your son has freedom. He has an education. He has his biological family, doesn't he? So how is this relatable to me? Just because you have a son the same age as mine does not mean you are a good parent. You have no idea what we have been through. How dare you even attempt to relate yourself to me or him? How dare you try to relate your own child to him? Your child has never went through the trauma my child has endured. How dare you? Unethical. You're unethical. So I was told, oh, we're going to get your communication form sent in, and we're going to see if this can get approved. Me and the guardian ad litem, who doesn't return my calls, who doesn't care, who hasn't made any effort in this ICPC process to make me and my son a priority. I was told I would get a call on Tuesday because Monday was President's Day. It is now Thursday, and I can't even get somebody to give me a text back. I can't even get somebody to text back and say no. They will call you aggressive, and they will use it casually because they are trained. Anytime they start showing frustration, just tell them they're being aggressive. Do you know how many friends I have that are retired caseworkers that are working as advocates against CPS corruption? Lots. I don't name them because I protect their identities. I am also in touch with several district attorneys, and I won't mention their names either. I am also a very intelligent person. I have an IQ of 144. I am not going to stop until justice is served. Now, I don't know if these things can be turned around by Katie Butler coming forward and admitting her crimes, but I am working on finding that out. I don't know if the supervisor, caseworker, whatever she's calling herself these days, will ever call me back. But I know this. Every time she ignores me, every week that goes by that she ignores me, that is another detailed report that I will send to the NASW. I have reported every caseworker involved in my son's case from the past year to the NASW. I have also reported his caseworker from 14 years ago because it needs to be known. She needs to be investigated. I could raise tens of thousands of dollars, go hire some hotshot attorney out of Nashville, take them to the cleaners, take them to federal court. I could initiate my own lawsuit, honestly. I've learned the terminology and how to fill out the paperwork. I've also memorized my constitutional rights and amendments. I wish so bad that I would have knew then what I know now. And I wish so bad that I would have never, ever, ever opened my door to those cops that day. I wish so bad that I would have known my constitutional rights. I wish that I would have known my rights. But because I didn't, a brand new caseworker, someone who wasn't even seasoned on corruption. Well, I don't know. Her mother is the Oak Ridge Black Widow serial killer, Raynella Leith. I'm sure she was educated on a few things. to help her through her life. This new caseworker was able to come in and destroy my family. I take accountability. I should have never opened the door that day. I should have fought harder. I should have spoke up in court the day that she told me I couldn't and said, Your Honor, I was just told that I could not speak up about a serious matter going on in my son's case that involves lying in order to obtain this TPR. That's what I wish I would have done. But who knows? Maybe he was in on it too. You will never know. You will never know the pain that you have caused on my family, Katie Dossett Butler, and the Department of Child Services of Anderson County and Jefferson County. You will never know the pain. You will never feel a fraction of the trauma that I have to live with for the rest of my life, that my kids, all 4 of them, have to live with for the rest of their lives, and my mother. You will never know. You sleep sound next to your children in the other room every night. How does that feel? I bet it feels good to have the security of knowing that they are there and that they are safe. But my son wasn't worthy of that, was he? We weren't worthy of that, were we, Katie? I'm sorry. I'll have to edit this out. I want my son home. And I want the people that are working to keep it from happening to be punished. I want the people who have lied to be punished. I want our court system to stop supporting this corruption. Listen to the hundreds of thousands of children that are aging out of this corrupt system. Listen to them. Listen to their cry. Listen to their stories. Listen to what they say. Listen to what they say. You've got Ty and Bryn, 2 teenagers, 12 and 16, out here in Utah County that spoke up and said they were being sexually assaulted by their biological father. And now you've got a judge that wants to force them into a 90-day reunification camp with that same monster. This is disgusting. And if you support this, if you support this work, you are a monster too. I hope and I pray that Katie Butler sees this video, and I hope to God that it strike you with such conviction, Katie, that you do whatever it takes to help me get my son home. And if you don't, and you see this, then I pray that you get what you deserve, because even God says, vengeance is mine. I don't have to lift a finger. God will do it for me. God will show me who to report you to. God will show me how to report you properly. And God will show me how to take you down in a federal court of law and make sure that you pay the consequences for your actions. You have emotionally and mentally wrecked my family, my children. Thank you for coming and watching. I pray that you please share this video. Thank you.